Buenos Aires, 1958. The Argentine capital, with its European architecture, smoky cafes, and vibrant nightlife, had become a strange refuge for men who should have had nowhere left to run. Beneath the elegance and cosmopolitan charm, the city served as one of the most important safe havens for Nazi fugitives after the war. Among them lived one of the most infamous criminals of the 20th century, Dr. Josef Mengele. Known to history as the Angel of Death, Mengele was responsible for some of the most sadistic medical crimes ever committed. Yet in Argentina, he lived openly, comfortably, and with astonishing confidence. He enjoyed what contemporaries described as a quite luxurious life for a fugitive. He was socially active, well-connected, and surrounded by a tight network of former Nazis who protected one another through silence and loyalty. Mengele moved through Buenos Aires with an air of entitlement. He met regularly with fellow fugitives such as Hans Ulrich Rudel, a decorated Luftwaffe pilot, and Willem Sassen, a former Dutch SS officer turned journalist. He attended gatherings, discussed politics, and remained a fervent believer in National Socialism. He never expressed remorse. To the very end, he considered himself a man of science, misunderstood by history. In one of the most shocking demonstrations of post-war impunity, Josef Mengele's name appeared in the Buenos Aires telephone directory in 1958. At a time when he was arguably the most hunted man on earth, he lived under his own identity, unafraid enough to leave a public trace. That illusion of safety shattered in 1959. That year, the West German government finally issued an indictment against Mengele. He was formally charged with mass murder and with conducting unspeakably cruel medical experiments on prisoners at Auschwitz-Birkenau, including children as young as 5 years old. Germany demanded his extradition. For the first time since the war, fear entered Mengele's life in a way he could not ignore. He became nervous, restless, and suspicious. He moved frequently and began to feel unsafe, a fear he richly deserved. But what he did not know was that danger had already arrived on Argentine soil. Israeli intelligence agents were operating in Buenos Aires, tracking Adolf Eichmann, the architect of the final solution. In May 1960, Mossad agents successfully abducted Eichmann and smuggled him out of Argentina to stand trial in Israel. During Eichmann's interrogation, one question came up repeatedly. Where is Mengele? The interrogator, Zvija Haroni, pressed relentlessly. Eichmann initially refused to cooperate. He denied knowledge, claimed ignorance, and demonstrated a stubborn loyalty to his former comrades. This loyalty persisted despite the fact that Eichmann and Mengele had crossed paths several times after the war, even meeting at the ABC Cafe in Buenos Aires. Their relationship was strained. Mengele, who saw himself as an intellectual and an elite figure, regarded Eichmann with contempt. He considered him a bureaucrat, a working-class officer, beneath his social and intellectual standing. Eichmann, in turn, understood Mengele's arrogance, but maintained silence. Eventually, under sustained pressure, Eichmann broke. He admitted that Mengele was likely still in Argentina, possibly in Buenos Aires, but claimed he had lost contact. For the Mossad, this was not enough. To Israeli intelligence, Mengele represented something even darker than Eichmann. Eichmann had organized mass murder from behind a desk. Mengele had carried it out with his own hands. Among survivors, his name inspired visceral terror. He was considered the embodiment of cruelty. As one Mossad official later stated, Mengele was a worse name in Israel than Eichmann. Mengele's notoriety was rooted in his time at Auschwitz-Birkenau, which became his personal laboratory of horror. Posted there in May 1943, he quickly gained a reputation for his absolute authority over life and death,
He stood on the arrival ramps as trains unloaded human cargo, calmly gesturing left or right, deciding who would be sent to forced labor and who would be sent directly to the gas chambers. Witnesses recalled his immaculate uniform, his polished boots, and his unsettling calm. He often whistled classical music while making selections. To him, people were not human beings. They were material. His experiments focused largely on racial purification and biological control. He was obsessed with sterilization, searching for faster and more efficient methods to render entire populations infertile. Slavs, Roma, Jews, and other groups he deemed inferior were subjected to injections, radiation, and surgical procedures without anesthesia. Most of his test subjects died. But his deepest obsession was twins. Twins fascinated Mengele because they allowed them to isolate genetic variables. One twin could be experimented on while the other served as a control. This method, he believed, would unlock the secrets of heredity and allow the mass production of Aryan traits. The experiments were brutal beyond description. He injected chemicals directly into children's eyes in an attempt to alter their color, often causing infection, blindness, or death. He performed amputations, organ removals, and blood transfusions between twins without regard for compatibility. In some cases, he ordered twins shot in the back of the head simultaneously so their bodies could be dissected side by side. Witnesses later recalled that they were reduced to biological specimens, stripped of identity, transformed into what one victim described as a mass of breathing, living cells. Mengele referred to them as my twins, not out of affection, but possession. 3 days after Eichmann's abduction, Mossad chief Isser Harel obtained an address linked to Mengele in Buenos Aires. He was determined to capture him as well. Despite warnings from agents that mounting a second operation would dramatically increase the risk of exposure, Harel authorized what became known as Operation Mengele. Agents entered Argentina on false passports and placed a boarding house under surveillance. But Argentina's German community, numbering nearly 250,000 people and historically linked to Juan Perón's cooperation with Nazi escape networks, made the operation extraordinarily dangerous. Mengele was not there. By sheer coincidence and instinct for self-preservation, he had already fled to Paraguay. He was far more cautious than Eichmann, constantly moving, relying on a web of supporters who warned him at the slightest sign of danger. The Mossad had missed him by days. Even after Eichmann was executed in 1962, Isser Harel refused to abandon the hunt. He ordered Zvi Aharoni to continue tracking Mengele across South America. Aharoni traveled through Argentina, Uruguay, Bolivia, and Chile, posing as a historian. Each time the trail led toward Paraguay, Mengele had already vanished. Years passed. Finally, Willem Sasson, facing possible war crimes charges himself, hinted that Mengele might be hiding near Sao Paulo, Brazil. The lead reignited hope. But Mengele had changed his appearance. He adopted aliases and grew a thick mustache to conceal the distinctive gap between his front teeth. Aharoni and Rafietan conducted surveillance at a ranch outside Sao Paulo. After days of observation, Eichmann saw a man with a heavy mustache accompanied by 2 guards. He was convinced one of them was Mengele. When the report reached Isser Harel, it was dismissed. Harel argued that a visual identification based on a pre-war SS photograph was insufficient. More pressing matters had emerged. At the same time, German scientists were developing rockets for Egyptian President Gamal Abdel Nasser, capable of striking Israel. Harel redirected Mossad resources to sabotage and assassination operations targeting those scientists. Operation Mengele was shelved. The Nazi hunting unit was disbanded. Mengele never knew how close he had come to capture. Instead, he lived the rest of his life in fear. His existence deteriorated rapidly. He became paranoid, withdrawn, and increasingly unstable. He hid on remote farms in the Brazilian countryside, constructing watchtowers and surrounding himself with guard dogs. The myth of the powerful Nazi mastermind hiding in the jungle grew, but the reality was far more pathetic. He lived in isolation, dependent on handouts from sympathizers. He aged poorly, developed severe anxiety, and developed a nervous habit of chewing his mustache until he swallowed hair, forming painful hairballs in his stomach. He was not a king in exile. He was a frightened old man. In West Germany, prosecutors suspected Hans Seilmir, a loyal associate of the Mengele family, of financing his escape. The family, wealthy manufacturers of agricultural machinery, knew Josef was alive. He had avoided capture initially because his vanity had prevented him from receiving the SS blood type tattoo used by American forces to identify SS members. His wife lied to investigators, claiming he had died on the Eastern Front. Sylmir later lied under oath, denying any contact or financial support. In 1985, on the 40th anniversary of Auschwitz liberation, pressure reached a breaking point. Survivors, including Eva Kor, organized a symbolic trial of Mengele in Jerusalem. International outrage renewed the hunt. Rewards reached millions of dollars. Sylmir, drunk in a restaurant, finally slipped. German authorities raided his home and discovered a hidden cache of letters. One message revealed the truth. Mengele had died in Brazil in 1979. The investigation led to a modest grave in a public cemetery.